Welcome back to All Eyes on Me. This is Divinity, your host, and I am stoked because today we have one of my favorite singers of all time on, Zee Machine.
Well, hello.
Hello.
You've got such a good on-mic voice. Oh my God,
thanks.
It sounds so soothing. Yeah. It's also, you're like,
I've heard that.
Wearing these, have these mics right in our face and these headphones right, it's like right in your ear. So I'm like, ooh.
I know. Somebody once said that I had a sex voice, but I
think everyone's got a sex voice. You know, all you got to do is have a voice and have sex. I think,
I would actually agree with that.
There you go. Yeah.
So is your real name Zee?
It is not. I don't know if I've ever done a. If you Google enough, you'll find it. I've never done a public reveal of it though, because it's so boring.
No,
it's really
not.
so. No, it truly is.
Is it David?
It's not David though. Actually, I wouldn't mind David.
Is it Courtney?
Yes. No, it's Courtney. No,
What's the first letter?
J.
James. John.
No.
Jacob.
Close.
Jeremy.
Oh, further. It's okay.
Okay, how'd you come up with Zee Machine?
So back when I lived in Boston, which was sort of like sophomore year of college onward, I ended up joining this band that had this residency at a gay club down there. It was Machine. It was called Machine. Was the name of the club. I believe that it is no longer in existence. But the band that I joined was called Zee, but we spelled it Z-H-E because we were asked to do sort of like a bi-weekly residency there. And we just weren't, it was me, another gay guy, and then 3 like straight musician friends of ours. And we were just like, Zee, apparently that's like a gender neutral pronoun. That's kind of cool. It was also like a different time. I feel like now we might not have chosen that name, but whatever. So we were just Zee for the longest time, Z-H-E. No one could pronounce it when they read it.
Wow.
And then when we all went our separate ways after college, we all graduated, I wanted to keep doing my artist thing. I didn't really want to use my government name. And so I just took on like the moniker Zee, but I spelled it Z-E-E because I'm like, all right, that's let's dumb it down for the GP. I released a couple songs under that name. As time went on, I realized it was a little hard to Google. And there was already another, at the time, a few years later, I was living in the Bay Area in like NorCal. And there was a rapper named Zee, and he had like a much bigger following than me. So I'm like,
was it Z or was it Z-E-E?
Z-E-E. Like
just like yours.
Yeah. I mean, that's not a very uncommon spelling. Like you type that into Spotify, there's quite a few people who start their name out or are just Zee. Like there's a handful of people who just use the one word. So I was like, I need to add something to it.
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, I played at this club Machine for 3.5 years, like every other week. So I guess what I'm doing with the name is I'm sort of carrying on the spirit of the place that I learned to sort of be like a queer adult. The place I learned to be a performer. The first, not the first band I was in, but the one that like I certainly had the longest, most extensive stint with. The one that I felt like had the most impact on me. But then I'm just, I'm doing. That was mostly a cover band, and this is like I'm trying to do my own thing now. But I want to carry the spirit and the energy of that on with me.
You're so grateful. I know a lot of people that they talk shit about their old bands, like they're bitter. So I love.
Oh, I could talk shit too, but no. I had nothing. I have honestly like almost entirely good memories with them.
How much time do we have?
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, truly. No, it's how much do I remember is the
that part.
Yeah, that was
so gay.
Yeah, because we started. It was the reason we played there. It was because their Friday nights were 18 plus, and I don't know if this is the case, but this is what they told us. They needed a live act in order to keep their all ages license. So we would just play for an hour when they opened at like 10 o'clock.
This place is called The Machine.
It's just Machine. And they tore it down.
Oh, okay.
During the pandemic, they tore it down.
Oh my God, they tore down like all the places they used to work
at. They tore
at.
everything down in the pandemic. Nothing could stay open.
Yeah.
So
I have nowhere to take my kids someday. Like, this is where your mom used to bartend. Yeah. it's like, gone.
Well, this parking lot used to be where I used to bar. Yeah. Yeah. Or whatever they turn it into.
The back of this pickup truck in a junkyard is where I used to bartend.
Yeah. Very that.
Wow.
But so I was 20 when I started playing there. So it was like the place I turned, I came of age, I suppose. Wow. Yeah.
So how did you get into music? Ooh. We can go all the way back to the beginning.
This is the big question. Yeah, it was kind of trying to think of how to start here. It was sort of the only thing I ever felt like I was good at without just naturally. Like I feel like there is an element of musicality that some people have that you can't really teach. Obviously, there's an element of practice that you can always get better. And there are people who probably have raw talent who don't practice and they never get better. But there was just something in me where, like, from an early age, I was a good mimic. I had a really good sense of pitch. I could tell if something was like in the wrong key from like age 5. Or I'm like, that's wrong, but I didn't have the words to describe how I knew it was wrong. And I had good rhythm. And as you know, I got older and realized like what notes were what on the scale. Like, you play me a note, I could probably tell you what it was. Within a microtone or two, you know, I would say I have nearly perfect pitch. So it was just something I had a lot of just innate talent for, I think. But I was a little scared. I was quite shy and insecure, and I didn't really feel like I had, like, I would see, you know, these musicians, they were just the biggest, most exuberant, coolest people in the world. And I was like, well, I'm not like that. Like, I was like, I could do it, but like, oh, I can't do it. But my dad got me a guitar. I learned like 3 chords there. I remember when I was like 12, this is before I even really got into music, I would do this thing where I took all the tape players that we had in our house, aging myself a little bit here.
How old are you?
I am old enough to know better. No, I am definitely a millennial.
Okay,
yeah,
same.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Wait.
Okay. Thank God. I'm.
No, don't worry.
Yeah.
You're in good company.
I'll tell you off camera. I like to keep a little mystique. You know, the government name and the age.
Yes.
Especially in this industry. You know?
This industry is so about it. God, and I'm over here like trying to like bust through that glass ceiling. I'm like, I'm 30 and I love it.
Yeah.
And there's that other part of me that's like, am I fucking myself right now by telling people I'm 30?
I mean, honestly, I feel like that the only judgment on that age range and above, I think, comes from just like the outside world. Because really, like, from a personal standpoint, the older I get, honestly, the more I'm kind of like secure and happy with myself. So it's really just like, oh no, what are people become old? Oh no, they don't really know. Young people don't know anything. but as a former young person, like, we always think we do, but there's nothing you can do to tell someone like that wait 5 years, 3
right.
even.
You think you know now.
You're not even going to recognize yourself.
Just wait.
Yeah.
I know. Even like a 27-year-old the other day, she was like, I'm so on it. And I'm like, oh, love.
Baby.
Wait 3 years. Wait till you hit 30. That 3-year period.
No, shit, when I was 27.
Oh my gosh.
Actually, that was some of my worst years, I feel like. So I took I think I had like 3 or 4. On one tape, I would go like, and then I would put it in like a tape player. On another tape, I would put headphones in there. I would let the entire drum take play through, and I would record in the next tape player, like, so I'm making this up on the spot. And then I would take the next one and I'd be like, bow, 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 or something like that. And then I would stretch my fingers, put all the tape players together, hit play on them. And on the last tape, I would record me singing with all of those playing in the background. It was a mess, but that was my first sort of like attempt to create music. I was like 12 years old, I think. And I recorded a whole album's worth of horrible songs that I just recorded in my bedroom as a 12-year-old. Mostly improvised, let it be known.
I bet they're not horrible at all.
Oh, no, I can objectively say that I had never written a song in my life. Yeah. I didn't know how to write a song. I didn't know song structure. It was just me kind of like wanting to create something. And you have to, it's not like you're going to start out amazing.
No. But then again, I don't know a lot of people at 12 years old that can go, I can't even do it now.
I mean, that's not to say I was even very good at that. Like, what I just did there was better than anything I actually recorded. I would take like pots and pans and like chopsticks and like bang on.
Isn't there a name for that where you like put different sounds together and they kind of like bounce off of each other and it builds? Isn't there a name for that?
I mean, like, if there is, just arrangements. I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe it's, you know, there's just like a crescendo type of thing. There's just layering of the instruments. I'm sure there is a word that I'm forgetting. My music school training is failing me right now. But yeah. So that the music program I was in middle school was actually incredible. Like we can get into a whole tangent on this too, but I grew up for about 9 years in Beijing, China, which not a lot of people know until you like talk to me about
Are you an
life.
anime kid?
I wasn't really an anime kid. I was a Pokemon kid.
I was about to bond with you so hard.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's fine.
Yeah. Technically, anime is
next
Japan,
person.
but yeah. No, I was a Pokemon kid, a Digimon kid, but it kind of stopped there. Okay. But the school I went to, it was this international school where it had just the music teacher that they hired there. He just did things really differently. Like, sure, we learned, our, counterpoint and, the Baroque era and, what's a fugue, and all that kind of, traditional stuff. But I remember like our first classes, he would like play us, like the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert in Ireland concert DVD. And be like, okay, so the style of bass that Flea here is playing, he uses his thumb in that, and it's like a slap, and it's like he sort of popularized that in the modern era, or he'd play us parts of Pink Floyd, The Wall, or like the Jam. He'd be like, they only use 1, 4, 5 chords, so your assignment today is you got to write a song that uses these chords. And the music room, it had a drum set, it had all these instruments, it had pianos around the room, it had software to compose on. So it was like, this is not your mama's music class. Like it was something I don't think I've ever heard of happening in any middle school, high school I've heard of in the U.S. So I'm very glad I did not have the American high school experience that I've heard of, because my graduating class had about 80 kids, and I hear about graduating classes here with like 2,000. I don't think I could handle that.
My graduating class in high school is 2,500.
Jesus Christ! It's in one grade.
Yeah,
that's insane.
2,500 in my senior class. When I was at graduation, I was like, am I at the right school? Because I didn't recognize anybody.
Yeah, I'm sure
it was psycho.
Would only have met like a fraction of the people.
Yeah.
Oh, the ceremony must have.
Yeah, it was so weird. I was literally sitting next to 2 different people that I was like, I've never seen you in my life.
Our graduating class photo was on the Great Wall.
Wait, so how old were you?
Spot. I lived there from 9 to 18, so some pretty formative years.
Wow. So, okay, so wait, back this up.
Yeah.
So are you an only child? Do you have siblings?
I'm not an only child. I have a younger sister. She's also queer and married.
Oh, I love that.
I know, we really lucked out. And it was just the two of us. She was 7, I was 9 when we moved there. And my dad had gotten a job there he was the head of this foreign exchange high school program.
Wow.
And so every year, like 50 American high school students would come and live with host families for a year, immerse themselves in the culture. They'd travel around the country. We would sometimes travel with them for like 2-3 weeks at a time to these like really rural parts of the country in these like villages that like some of them barely had electricity.
Holy shit.
And we would just like stay there for like a few nights, and then we'd like get on buses, we'd go to another place. Now I look back and I understand why people are like, that's such an amazing experience.
It's totally epic.
But at the time, when I'm a 9-year-old kid who moved from Wisconsin to China, I know it was just culture shock. Like I didn't really want to be there. I just wanted to play my Game Boy. And it was like cool, but I was, a lot of the time it was like unpleasant just to kind of like have to trek along with these kids. But looking back, I'm like, damn, not everyone gets to do this. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's interesting because people always think that struggle is like on this like weird scale, but struggle is struggle. And like even if somebody hears this like epic tale that you have of China, like I'm sure there was a lot of struggle that came with that. Like 9 years old, you probably had to learn the language too, right?
Oof, I did. Thankfully, it was, when you're young, you pick it up pretty easily. What's funny is that I had actually lived in Taiwan for 2 years when I was 3.
Okay.
I don't actually. My dad's listening. I don't actually remember why we were there. I was very small, but
hi, Dad.
But we were there we were in Taipei for 2 years, and when I was 3 or 4 or 5 years old, I was fluent in Chinese because when your brain is growing like that, you just pick up on stuff like so easily. I can't believe how like I was just speaking Chinese like I was a native. I haven't been back in like 13 years or so. I have a baseline understand. Like when I hear it, I can kind of be like, oh, okay, that's Mandarin. I sort of know what they're talking about. But if you ask me to like then engage in a conversation, my vocabulary, like I come up short pretty quickly. But I know enough. I think my pronunciation is very good. I sound like a Beijing local.
Okay, wait. I have something.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
你会说普通话吗?
Oh, is that? Do you speak Mandarin?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know how to say.
That was in a sort of more like the area of town I was growing up in. 你会说普通话吗?
Wow.
It's so interesting because I could hear like a very different accent in how you were doing it. So.
Well, my mom and I, so I grew up like hella broke / poor. So, you know, like we were always moving and shit. And one time my mom was like, okay, I know that like things have been a lot. Let's do something together that kind of like takes us away from shit. Let's learn a different language. Like she was just like pulling something, you know? So I was like, okay, that sounds really fun. You know, and like back in the day when we used to go to Barnes and Noble and just hang out.
Oh, formative experience.
Oh my God, my favorite. So we went and I got an audio, how to learn Mandarin Chinese.
Wow.
And we literally were like driving to our next place that we were moving to, listening to this audio on how to learn. And that was the only thing I took away from it.
That's so cool because honestly, also other formative experiences, audiobooks on road trips.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, just for me, it was sitting in the backseat, falling
Old
asleep.
school, man.
Yeah. Speaking of tape players, like putting the cassette in the dashboard. Yeah.
I feel like people don't do that now.
I don't think
Maybe
so.
they do.
And maybe if they do, they might just play it from their phone. But I don't know.
Yeah, they don't go to Barnes
We're in
and
the era
Noble.
of algorithmically curated playlists.
Yeah, you could just find a TikTok too and just watch Mandarin.
Oh, I love Barnes and Noble. I remember I was more of a Borders.
Oh, were you?
Yeah, just because there was one right in Madison that I could go and I could scan the CD and listen to like samples of it. So I just really imprinted it, but they don't exist anymore. So
I talked shit about people that went to Borders.
Oh no.
I was like, why do they want to go to Borders when they could go to Barnes and Noble?
You know, I had love for both of them. It's just if you had gone to my Borders,
I'm sure it was
I think
cute.
you would have,
Yeah.
Understood. It was like a double floor type of thing, like CD collection, just like as far as the eye could see. It was like we would come back from China every summer,
Okay.
and we would stay in Madison because that's where we were moved before.
Wait, where's Madison
Oh,
again?
Wisconsin, the capital city of.
I'm from Colorado, by the way. So
Oh, I went to, where in Colorado?
I'm from Denver, Boulder, like all over.
I went to DU for my freshman year
Did you?
of college. Yeah.
You are a smarty.
Well,
DU's tough. I got into DU, but like it was tough.
I auditioned for the music program, so I don't really know if it was like different. But I sent in an audition tape,
Okay.
and they just gave me the biggest scholarship. So I was like, well, I guess I'm going there.
Yeah.
That first year, but it wasn't the best fit, but it's a beautiful city.
It's really pretty. Yeah, that campus is gorgeous. I went to see Boulder.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. I think I probably chatted with some people in Boulder on like early iterations of like
Yeah.
the gay internet.
Yeah, it's funny because like when I meet people that are in the little states right around Colorado, I feel like we get it. Okay, so you moved back from China when you were 18.
I was 18, yeah.
Wow.
That
So
was
what happened?
9 years. I graduated high school there. So I auditioned for Berklee College of Music my senior year. Like that was my like dream college. I auditioned as a guitar player because that was what I wanted to do. Like
Great
I was
college.
and it was like I wanted to be like guitar god, like I had the hair for it. I was like that's all I listened to for the longest time. I auditioned for like 4 or 5 different colleges. I got into all of them and scholarships to all of them except Berklee. I did not get into Berklee. I was crushed, but Denver offered me almost a full scholarship. So I was like, well, okay, I guess. So, but towards the end of my time in high school, actually, it's so funny. The thing that really kind of got me back into singing was season 7 of American Idol.
Wow.
For some reason, I all the people, because we did get TV over there. It was just maybe like a few hours later. But they aired it on certain channels, and that season started airing. And for some reason, I started paying attention, and I was just like, I feel like I could do this. Like, I don't know. Like, that wasn't that good.
Yeah.
And so I started kind of like singing more, and then like there was an annual talent show every year sorry for the redundancy. And I had done it before with my band, but I was like, maybe I'll just do it like on my own this year. And so I did, and like my band, we were like rock out covers of songs. So I was like long hair, kind of shit.
And you're still 18 at this point.
Yes, I was still 18. And I entered on my own, and I just clean guitar, and I did Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah rendition. Wow. And I cleaned up. Because I feel like I had long hair the whole time. I had like shaved my head. It was just me and guitar. I was singing in a way that never heard me before. And that was very much a turning point for me. I was like, okay, I think I can do something with this that isn't just me like singing because I'm the only one in the band who can sing. Singing songs that don't fit my voice.
How'd you even find band people that quick?
There was we weren't all, well, me... In case they're listening, I don't want them to feel like slighted. We weren't all that great. Like a few, we worked well together. Yeah. I don't know if our bass player still plays bass, and he certainly doesn't really follow me online. But he, music wasn't his passion, but he was solid. Our keyboard player was solid as well. But
Did you meet them in college?
No, these were all in high school. Oh yeah, this is still the high school band. Oh, I'm so sorry. I was thinking of
this whole time. I'm like,
band.
He got to Denver, and all of a sudden he had a band. This is your band in.
This is my high school band.
Got it.
Yeah, this is
China.
my first band. Yeah,
Got it.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, and we were pretty good. But actually, it's so funny. I actually just reconnected with my high school drummer.
Wow.
Last month, I sang on a project that he's doing.
Is he still in China?
He lives in LA now.
Sick.
Yeah, he lives out in, I think, Eagle Rock.
Wow.
Either way, so it was the first time I'd seen him in like 15 years. I was like, holy shit. And it was really cool. He's still doing music. It's not, obviously we're both on very different paths than we were before, but the fact that we're both still doing is pretty cool. He was he was kind of like savant, he was like a little bit of savant, I feel like. You were about to ask me about the other band. What were you?
So, okay, wait. So you had a band in China.
Yes.
You graduated. You moved back to Wisconsin.
I graduated. I moved to Denver.
Got into Denver.
Got Denver.
Got it.
Oh, here's the thing. I started singing more. Okay. I re-auditioned for Berklee as a singer, and then
Okay. So you didn't move back to Wisconsin. You just moved right to Denver.
Yeah. I haven't lived in Wisconsin since I left for China. I've been back, but I haven't lived there.
Got it.
Yeah. So then I auditioned for Berklee again as a vocalist, and I got in. So I'm like,
Wow.
well, I think that's something. So, but when you get there, it's impossible not to meet musicians. It started with just a lot of saying yes to everything that came your way. You have a lot of opportunities with people and bands that maybe aren't a good fit, and eventually you find your people just by being there, just by proxy, because it's such a high concentration of like musicians who are probably at their thirstiest to succeed. And
I heard Berklee is really high competition.
The acceptance rate is not high, which I was like, okay.
So you got in sophomore year.
Yes. Actually, but the thing, you were saying earlier how I can use this podcast as a moment to flex. So the credits from Denver did not transfer over. So technically, I may have had to start freshman again and graduate a year late. But I ended up testing into the highest level ear training class because I know when they played like a sequence of notes and you have to notate it exactly as it is.
Wow.
And I got it all right. And so they put me into the highest level ear training immediately, 9 credits, because there's 4 levels of ear training. So you do those first 9, you just get those. Wow. But now I'm in this really high level class where you have to sight sing and conduct from reading music, which I could not do. And I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm in way over my head. I just have a good ear. Yeah. And, I passed with a C-. But you know what? It's a pass. So, yeah.
I passed chemistry in high school with a D-. My teacher looked at me and was like, you suck at chemistry. I was like, you're right, Jerry. I do suck at chemistry. And he goes, I'm going to give you a D-, even though you should have an F. I was like, good. Give me a D- so I can get out of this fucking place. Because I was a senior. Like, I was ready to walk. I was like, I don't want to be here.
I am not going to do chemistry.
No, I had to promise him too. He was like, okay, shake my hand. I was like, okay. He goes, promise me that as you go into your career someday, you don't do anything that requires chemistry. I was like, I promise. Guess what I was / still am for the last 10 years?
Chemistry lab assistant.
Master colorist. I do chemistry.
I guess that is chemistry. Yes. I didn't even think of that, but you're so right. Oh my God.
It's like a certain type of chemistry. See, I get hair.
It's the thing when you're just thinking of like elements on their own. It was something I just could not make sense of it. And when you don't care about something and you just have that certain brain type, you can't make yourself care. Like I don't give a shit about math. Why are we putting these numbers through this complicated but when you put it on top of something that you care about, like that.
Music is math.
It's fractions. Yeah. It's rhythms. It's subdivisions.
See, now you got it.
I care about that. I don't really think of it as math, and I don't really do a whole lot of notating, but it has elements of math. If you get into production and engineering, there's a lot. I believe there's more like sine waves and like frequencies you need to kind of pay attention to. But that's the type of thing where I just know that I don't really have the mental brain capacity to take that in and not completely. I feel like everybody has ADHD lately, but I feel like my ADHD pops out most when I look at like the controller on a plugin on my recording interface. Because I'm like, this looks like the dashboard on a plane. I cannot make heads or tails of what is going on here. So I know how to write. I know how to make a demo. But I'm just like, I will work with an engineer who knows how to do this. So.
I'm glad that you just admitted that you have ADHD. Because same.
I think I feel
I have
like
severe ADHD. Like, okay. I'm diagnosed.
Okay. I don't know that I am diagnosed, but it's kind of like, I think this is actually an old Ellen DeGeneres bit where she's like, I am too unfocused to go check to see if I have ADD. So I know I have ADD.
But you know,
yeah.
Like you know. Yeah. I know. Mine was so bad to the point where when I was 27, I went in and I was like, tell me what's wrong with my brain, please. There's something wrong. Yeah. They were like, oh, just good old ADHD. And I was like, how severe is it, doc? She goes, it's pretty severe. I was like, this is why I'm such a genius.
High level. Okay.
This is why I'm always an hour late.
There we go. Yeah, it's not my fault. Yeah. I'm not surprised, though, that it's so... Like, I just feel like in the last 2-3 years, the amount of people talking about their ADHD has just skyrocketed. And I'm not surprised because we live in this... We are just overstimulated. We are never not having media and information just shoved in our face. It's unavoidable. And that is not what humans and civilization have been dealing with for the first, thousands of years until the last decade. So it's really insane, and I am not at all surprised, and I'm also probably joining the ranks. So.
Well, this is a great leeway into how I found you because...
speaking of screens.
Yeah, like speaking of phones, I literally was like going nuts in the pandemic because I was off work and I had nothing better to do than just swipe on TikTok. And so lo and behold, I come across one of your videos. I'm pretty sure it was... the pandemic song that you wrote.
Okay. So
Do you remember the day?
Okay, so that was like as the pandemic was, I think, kind of winding down. I mean, that may have been. I mean, that was my pandemic song for sure. But that was sort of.
I came across you in early pandemic though. Did you write a song in the early?
I mean, I was putting out music early in the pandemic for sure.
Man, I can't remember now. But that was the one that I remember.
I mean, that was definitely a big level up. Like I kind of think of, so I've been doing music since I put my first song out in like 10 years ago.
Okay.
Basically. Berkeley. Just after Berkeley.
Okay.
So to the people wondering about my age, do the math.
Or don't.
Yeah, I would prefer we don't, but
Let's
it's fine, It's so fucking hard to break through in any kind of way unless you have a label, unless you have some sort of team, unless you have a marketing push, unless you have some sort of viral moment. And TikTok is a blessing and a curse because it has allowed anyone to have a viral moment. And if you can have one of those with your music, that has changed people's lives. Right. Like, I don't know how on TikTok but did you remember a song that goes, I am woman, she was my coworker
I'm
at
a creator
coffee shop.
outside of this.
Okay, there you go.
I'm on it way too much.
That's Emily, my old coworker at the cafe I used to work at. And she just posted this video of her in her room singing this thing she wrote like that day to some track she found online. And suddenly I have never seen a track blow up that virally that quickly. She gets signed. She goes on tour with Hayley Kiyoko. Her life is, so it's just, and all it took was like one 30-second video that she just wasn't even thinking, and it changed her life. So TikTok really is, it was a game changer for artists. It also can be a bit of a curse because now that's all people are paying attention to, because it's like, if it's influencing the charts. Like the number one song will be whatever the trending sound is, but it'll be a sped up version. People are making sped up versions. People are forcing Florence Welch to try to post TikToks and she doesn't want to. Things like that. But I was on it like sporadically for a little bit. And then just kind of for no reason, I was like, there's this song I really don't want to finish. I'm just going to post a little clip of the demo. And it got like 100,000 views, and I was like, "Oh shit!" Okay, so following started growing. This was like late 2020, very end of 2020. I was like, "Okay, well, I have a whole discography of songs," and I posted another one, and this was like a 3-year-old song at this point. It blew up even bigger. And I'm just like, oh my God, like this is insane. Like suddenly the number of listeners went from like 300 a month to like 30,000 a month. And it just was, it kind of kept
Spotify?
Yeah, on Spotify. Yeah,
Spotify?
30,000 a month. It's grown since then, but like to see that kind of jump at that point when everything I was doing was just this core group I had following me on like Instagram, right. just trying my hardest. I was going a million miles a minute trying to create content during the pandemic because I finally had time, but it was kind of like, but I was getting so defeated because it was like, I'm putting out what I feel like is like my best stuff. I feel like I'm doing stuff that like, it sounds so cocky of me, but I was like, I feel like I'm doing stuff that none of my like peers are doing. And it's just like, and it was like hitting the wall so it was very frustrating. So when this one thing happened, I was like, holy shit. So it was overwhelming. It also kind of started my my steady spiral of being addicted to the app and sort of being like a slave to the algorithm, because suddenly you just have to do whatever it wants. Everything you do is trying to capture that lightning in a bottle where it'll have that moment, and sometimes the songs just do not hit and you're like, what am I doing differently? And this algorithm is just unknowable, I've found. And so I've gotten better at relinquishing expectations a little bit. I still a little bit. And but between, I would say, that point and then the pandemic song, which was basically a song that I wrote about like the pandemic ending. That was like another huge level up for me, because I kind of thought, it's like, okay, I had my TikTok moment. It's kind of leveled out. I don't really know if I'm going to have another really moment like these, but you know what? It was pretty cool. I'm just going to grow steadily another way. And then I put that one out. I wasn't even done with the demo. It was like it was the biggest video I'd put out at that point. And this was like late 2021. I think this is like, I feel like not that interesting. This is kind of, I feel like there are little like landmark, is it goalpost moments?
Yeah. This is interesting.
Yeah. To me, it's
because let's be honest. You were doing music since Berkeley. You went on your own. You weren't in a band anymore. So, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. You make your own stuff in your bedroom, right? Are you one of those people? I
write there. Yeah.
You play the guitar too? Mm-hmm. Okay, but do you have people like doing the drums and everything too?
Most of the drums are electronic. There are the EP.
So you are doing it mostly yourself.
Pretty much. I record with a producer, a co-writer, engineer, who he's the one who, because he knows how to work, Pro Tools, right. And so he will. I'll be in the room at all times, and I'll be like, let's add this, and he knows how to do that. And if there's a moment where I'm like, I might be stuck, he might because he's a very creative person himself, and so he'll help me like work through these moments. So it's a very collaborative process. I'd say 90% of the stuff I've done over the past 3.5 years has been me and this one other guy.
And before that, it was just you solo.
No, it was a different producer, but I don't really know if he does music anymore. And so finding another person that you can like trust to help bring your vision to life is a very vulnerable process.
And were you doing music full time the last like?
Oh, I have not. I was not doing it full time.
Okay.
It was something I was doing. Duetted mine, and I feel like that was another kind of level up moment that I had, and that was sort of mid pandemic. That was a little before the song that you found me through, I think. But TikTok was it was like, oh my God, the guy who has produced every person that you have admired growing up is basically saying like, I fuck with this melody.
Right. And he's duetting it.
Yeah. And he was like adding captions to it. And this is kind of like a flex that I love. Like he cleared his grid a few months later, and I was like, oh. And then a few months after that, he added some videos back onto the grid. And of the several duets that he did to the Open Verse Challenge, mine was the only one he added back to his profile. So I was like, okay. But so that's the type of thing that like an app like TikTok will allow you opportunities that you just didn't have before. So it's kind of like leveled the playing field a little bit, because you can't really predict what's going to go viral. You can't predict what's going to be popular. Labels like don't really have the gatekeepingness. I mean, they still do, but like it's changed the game. And now but on the flip side, now they are just like, if you don't have a TikTok following, we're not going to sign you. But kind of the more I've gotten into, the more horror stories I've heard about like friends who have been on labels or left labels or
recently
having to deal with it.
This is a recent thing that they're dealing with in labels is like TikTok.
Oh, TikTok is controlling the music. It has the music industry in a chokehold in a huge way, because it's like the biggest song in the world will be like About Damn Time because of that TikTok dance they were doing. Right. Or like, what else would have been some other like that Doja Cat Silhouette. There you go. Yeah, like it'll be like that 5-second clip that and that'll blow an artist's career up. And then suddenly that song will be charting.
So I have a question. Since you have this is something that we don't have to go into age, but let's just call it what it is. We're millennials, and we're
cringe and proud.
Love it. I love the fact that we come from DVDs and cassettes. Like my mom had a Walkman. I bet you guys don't even know what a Walkman is. I have my mom's vintage Walkman.
My Discman and I.
But I mean, okay, my question is, do you think that the way that you and I have always been used to music was better? Or do you think these algorithms and TikTok videos going viral, do you think that's actually benefiting the music industry more?
That is a tough question, because I feel like there are good and bad elements to both sides.
Yeah.
I feel as though, well, actually, I don't know. I feel like the music industry has always been corrupt, because I was about to say, well, Spotify only pays you 0.003 cents per stream, and that's, absolutely criminal, knowing how much the executives there make. I feel like I personally miss the process of consuming music the way we used to a little bit more, because you had to like really want it. like I was thinking, it's like it's crazy how we can go anywhere in the world and like we almost never don't hear music, whether it's playing on a speaker or whether we just put our headphones in. Can you believe, just like 50 years ago, if you didn't like catch that song on the radio and the name of it and then go out and ask your record store if they had that specific thing and then buy it and take it home, put it on your record player and put the needle down, and it's like music is I almost feel like we take it for granted now in a way. I feel like this isn't really the question you asked, but then even further back, if you go back to when music was only available if someone knew a song and could sing it and play it, or you could go to hear it in a concert, or if someone was taught how to play an instrument. It's like, wow, we used to just live in silence. I think there are some elements about the industry and music, being an artist and the industry now that are better, because on one hand, anyone can put their stuff out there now. Yeah. Anyone has a chance to be heard. It's not to say that everyone is going to be heard on the same level, but anyone who has a phone can put their art out there. Yeah. And so a lot of artists who may not have been heard in the era of gatekeeping labels, even in just like the 90s, you could only get your music out there if you had people pushing it. Like to do something grassroots was very, very, very hard. Like you had to hustle, like hit the ground running, do it organically, play shows, network, face to face. Now it's like if you just hit that magic algorithm spot, suddenly overnight you can be viewed by millions. And that has been a huge game changer. At the same time, it also means the market is so oversaturated that we just don't know what to do with a lot of these people. And we're just chasing trends in this really weird way. And we're shortening songs for streaming. I feel like it becomes more about like netting the numbers in a different way than it used to. And I feel like no one writes song bridges anymore. I have and maybe I'm just an old fart and I need to get with the times, but if a song is like less than 2.5 minutes, I'm just like, really? Yeah. I feel like, I mean, if it's also too long, it's kind of like, I don't know about that. But I feel as though we are like the industry has shifted its gears in a way that's a little more towards like getting as many ears. And I guess it always has been like that, but I feel like TikTok has shortened the attention span. The Barbie soundtrack is like 20 minutes long because every song on that is like 1:50. Right. And I'm just, that is frustrating to me, but that might just be my personal taste.
Well, I agree with you there because I have noticed that the attention span of people is way shorter, and people are so used to just mindlessly. It is TikTok because I'm from the era of YouTube, and I used to watch YouTube in high school, and I dreamed of being a YouTuber. I actually love that you don't follow me back on social media.
I just followed, and I saw your profile today. I was like, oh, this is so embarrassing.
I'm literally giving you shit. I love it.
I was so embarrassed. I followed you back like literally before we started.
You're fine.
Rolling.
I was like, oh, he's playing hard get.
I have started doing a thing where because I used to follow everybody back immediately, and I've had to be like a little more discerning, but.
No, I'm giving you shit.
I think we're there now.
We're there. I literally appreciate people from our generation and even Gen Z and Gen X or whatever that still watches YouTube and still has the attention span for longer videos, because for me, I actually have noticed with ADHD, my ADHD has gotten worse in a way because all of these really intense instant gratification things like TikTok are almost like exemplifying my ADHD because it's allowing me to be a little bit more sporadic and everything. And
that is by design, for sure. I think I saw some documentary. I forgot what it was. It was about like social media addiction. It was on Netflix and they were basically saying that they design it to be like gambling, where you get that serotonin when you see the little red bubble pop up, or like the next thing. It prompts you to want to do the next thing. Or even like Netflix, where it's like next episode playing in 5 seconds. You don't have a chance to do the next thing, so it wants to keep your eyes on it. So and then I will be up at like 4 a.m, having to be awake at 7:30, and being like, I know I cannot be doing this. I'm going to feel like, and I can't stop.
Can I give you a big piece of advice that my coach gave me? Yes. Because I've actually cracked this code. Okay. I have. I had this really toxic relationship with TikTok for the last 2.5 years because, like you, I'm an artist who, I mean, I'm not going to lie. I've had a lot of shit in my personal life within my 20s where I've gotten into relationships, romantic relationships, and I lived in New York. I lived in Denver. I lived in Florida for 4 months. That's a whole thing.
Wow.
But like I've been all over the place, right? This is my second time living in LA. I've lived in LA in my mid 20s and now in my 30s. And I'm like, okay, I'm approaching LA very different this time around. And with all of these things that I've experienced in my personal life, it's obviously taken an impact on my career. And so now that I'm like full focused career, I feel a lot more clear that I don't have all this outside shit happening, that I can really hone in. But I remember when everything was happening and I wasn't able to just sit and breathe and just meditate on what I truly wanted to be doing. It did get to this point where I was like, I just want something to work because everything in my life is chaos, and TikTok has to work because this is my dream and I really want to go viral and I really want my shit to be discovered. And so I did find myself throwing spaghetti at a wall at times where I was putting out certain videos that I didn't feel attached to. And it was like shit that I had just made like in 5 minutes because I watched somebody else do it and I was reenacting it, or another video that inspired me because it went viral. So I figured if it went viral, I would go viral. Yeah. You get into this headspace where you're like constantly chasing the thing that you don't even know that you're chasing. So I talked to one of my dear friends who works in social media algorithms for a living.
That's something I would love to pick
and
the brain
now
of.
I actually teach algorithms.
Oh, okay.
Outside of this.
I don't know how it works, and I've stopped trying
Stop
to know.
chasing it.
Oh, exactly.
No, like...
Yes.
Stop. Because the thing is, you just said it, we are living in an oversaturated market. There are a million people doing 80s reenacting music. There are a million people doing Billie Eilish sounds. Yeah. There are a million people doing, I don't know, like Taylor Swift quick, easy to remember songs where it's like really simple writing and it's stuck in your head.
Did I just write the song of the summer?
Yeah. Like, I mean... Olivia Rodrigo's a genius. Her songs are really catchy, but there's a million people that are trying to be like Olivia Rodrigo. Oh, yeah. And so I find that like what is actually more healthy is to stop chasing this algorithm and stop chasing what's going to go viral and to actually look at your entire brand as a whole, because it's not only the music. Like some of these people are going viral, maybe not because they sound like Amy Winehouse, but it's the whole package. It's their look, it's their sound. It's the way that they're presenting their music. Maybe there's like some like vulnerability aspect there. There's a story. It's a whole thing. Yeah. So that's something that I've actually noticed where I had to like put myself back in place and be like, okay, yes, you do good hair. Yes, you know how to speak. Yes, you know how to dance. But like, what actually do you want to fucking do? Mm-hmm. Like ask yourself, what do you want to do? Like, what's your music? And then like pick yourself apart. Like, do you like your branding? Do you like how you're dressing? Do you like your hair? Like every little thing. It's so crazy. Like once I really started like dissecting everything, I was like, I hate my fucking hair. And I changed it. And then I was like looking at my grid and I was like, I hate the way that shit looks too. Mm-hmm. And so I changed it. Yeah. And now every little thing, it's like I like created this whole brand that I knew was me, and every little thing is like, it's a signature, it's me. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if that helps, but like, it's more than just chasing this algorithm. That's where people get tripped up. They don't make it.
Yeah, I have friends. I mean, I talk about, like, I've never experienced this myself, but I have friends who are like putting themselves into depressive states because it's like, I can't seem to crack this number of views. Nothing I'm doing seems to hit. And I'm just like, not even that they're necessarily asking for advice, but it's kind of like, I don't know what it was I did differently that helped me get. The thing is, I think it was the time that the app is very different than it used to be.
It is, so, yeah.
But it's also just kind of like you said, letting go. Like, because if it controls you, you're just gonna. That's exactly what it wants. That's exactly what the app makers want. And you're losing sight of what it is you want to be. And when I was like really kind of spiraling about that, I was like, do I want to be a TikTok star or do I want to be a fucking musician? And it's like now one sort of helps facilitate the other, but it's not the only way. It is a way, and I'm grateful for the moments I've had on it, but it doesn't define me. Although here's the thing, I am also saying that now, right, as I'm sort of hot on the heels of a song I really wanted to do well on TikTok, doing pretty well on TikTok. So I'm in a very like happy, grounded place about it. It's kind of like in like 12-step, it's very easy to talk about gratitude and everything's going your way. Where the real work is when shit is not popping off in your life to stay grateful. That's when the real work kind of comes in.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
And I'm going to be so real right now. Do you like your aesthetic? Like genuinely, do you like the pop? Can I give you my synopsis of your brand just outside looking in?
That's always fascinating to hear.
Yeah,
sometimes people will tell me that I'm like, I did not even think of that.
No, I like always personally love when people tell me like kind of the vibe that they catch from my shit. I catch this vibe that your music and your energy and the way that you perform is so different than the way you dress and the way your social media is.
Okay. I can see that. And I feel like
you're
I might
an
do
old
them in
soul. And yet you present as if, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that you're a millennial because you present very Gen Z. It's very interesting.
That is fascinating.
Yeah. But like when I like listen to you and I watch you perform, I'm like, genuinely, it's Freddie Mercury.
Well,
you're like embodied,
very, very kind.
And even as you're talking, you're like talking about cassettes and you're talking about how you miss the old days. Like,
I miss my CD booklet.
You're such an old soul. Like, I don't know. Like for you, I would, if I were to like kind of fuck up your shit a little bit, I'd be like, bring back vintage. Bring it back more.
I feel like I do that in a low way with sort of the sonic vibe I go for. I don't, I very much respect the direction that a lot of pop music is going these days, but it doesn't really speak to the stuff that I like creating. Even though I wasn't alive during the 80s, I'm not that old. I do find just sort of the unpretentious like bombast of just going for the biggest, most serotonin giving aspect of pop music to be very enticing and satisfying. And I feel like I tend to gravitate towards those elements in a lot of my sound these days, while also not sounding like reductive. I try to keep it sounding still fresh and clean. I sometimes say it's from the 80s, the 2080s. But that is very interesting. So as far as my aesthetic, I feel like I am liking it more and more as time goes on. For a while, I didn't know what I was trying to do. There was a whole point during the pandemic. I was just trying everything. I was just trying to be as weird as I could, and hopefully, actually, I was trying to act young. I was trying to aesthetically come across like oversized like sweatshirts and like a middle part with kind of like dyed hair with the roots showing. And I respect that. It didn't suck, but like right now, I feel like I'm kind of just like, I don't really give a fuck. I'm just like throwing on what amuses me and what feels comfortable on me. Yeah. If it's not right, I will know.
You're doing what feels right.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that it's actually hardest for me to tap into my visual aesthetic the most when it comes time for like a photo shoot, because it's like, this is how you're going to market yourself. And then suddenly I'll put on these clothes and everything feels wrong. But then when I'm just like going out on the street, I'm like, oh, this is so me. This is how I wish I could walk on stage like this.
What is your dream of like? I'm getting at something here. I promise. I have a point.
Okay, yeah, no,
I have a point.
Yeah.
What is your dream of, like, if you could envision your perfect life and your perfect look and just aesthetic, like what are you driving? What are you wearing? Give me your perfect outfit, your perfect automobile and stage. Like what do you dream? What's your biggest vibe?
I want to be in a place in my career where I feel respected by my peers. I don't want fame at the level of Taylor Swift. I know myself enough now to know that I would probably, not to get morbid, kill myself or end up absolutely insane if I were that big. I don't think I can handle that. I can open for Taylor Swift, but I don't think I can't. I could not do that.
You can't be Taylor Swift.
It's too much. It's too much. Like when one person starts to get on my case and be parasocial at my level now, I freak out. So I don't think I can do. I feel like if I had to like equate a level, I've been saying like maybe a Carly Rae Jepsen, where it's like it's about the music still. Yeah. Like she had her big pop moment, but now it's about like she's known for like putting out quality music. She's able to sell out something like the Greek Theater for those not in LA. But we don't know a lot about her personal life, and she's able to just kind of do her thing, focus on the quality of the art, and come back. And that's what the focus is when she decides to come back. Not that I think my sound is like her, but I just think in terms of level of renown, that's what I would like. I think aesthetically, I want to look like, okay, so I've been just growing my hair out until, what I've been telling people is I want to grow it till I can't stand it. I want it to be kind of ugly, but like a cool ugly. Because I don't know, and I don't, this is hot take, but I just feel like a lot of, I've seen a lot of queer pop artists, male queer pop artists, try so hard to just look so handsome and so cool. And at the end of the day, if I were to try to do that, it would feel corny to me. That wouldn't speak to me. No shade on anyone trying to, do that. But it's almost sort of like, I'm going to be so for real as well.
Yeah, do it. Everything you're saying is making complete sense.
Okay. I just want to say that, and this sounds so like stupid sometimes when I say it, but like I'm just going to be real. I feel like I resent pretty privilege a little bit. I'm not my type. I don't dig the people who look like me, but like I feel like to deny that this body and aesthetic that I had no effort, or I had no role in choosing, that I feel, even if it's not everybody's cup of tea, I feel like when I'm styled right, it leans into an aesthetic that society pushes. And I've probably...
And same.
Yeah.
And you don't have to hold back in saying that. That's fine. You do have pretty privilege.
And I feel like there are definitely elements of my life that I just have easier because I have been able to eat whatever the fuck I want, and I rarely fluctuate between a certain weight because I don't know, I have a jawline or something. So I almost feel like there's a part of me that has grown to really resent that. Well, I will use it as I must, but there's a huge part of me that resents it. And so I almost feel like on most of my covers our album covers that I do, I try to obscure my face because I actually am very uncomfortable looking at myself on camera. Wow. If I'm not taking the selfie, I dread what it's going to look like. Wow. So in like music videos are tough for me. Album art there was a whole era where I would crossed out my eyes because when it was just my face on the cover, I got very dysmorphic. Lately I'm just like, don't put me on it at all. Like this new one that's coming out next week, I'm not on it at all, and that's like I love that. So in a way I'm almost kind of like trying to do things that'll be like, okay, I can't really do anything to change this face, so I'm gonna try to grow my hair out in a way that I know that gay guys don't like. Mm-hmm. Bitches don't like femme looking hair. Like it's so wild the number of times I've been like, I'll mention like so and so was saying they're like, yeah, they just don't vibe with guys with long hair. They're like, oh my god, I don't really either. And I'm like, wow, way to tell on yourself. So I almost feel like I want to like do things with my look that will repel people. In a way, but also not.
You know why?
Really.
You know why?
Why do you
because you don't want a pass for your looks. You want people to genuinely enjoy the music.
That's very true. I feel like anything.
There's a lot of people who are. It's just like what I was saying. There are people who are going viral and people who are big. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it because it's my fucking podcast and I can. There are people who are fucking famous because they are genuinely gorgeous, but they're not good at acting. They're a shit actor. They're a shit singer. They're auto-tuned. There are a lot of people like that. You're one of those people that you actually have comfortability and security in knowing that you are fucking talented. There is so many pillars in your life that you can account for, such as you have done in this episode. You're like, right here, it was solidified that I am good at this. Right here, it was solidified that I am good at this. I got into Berkeley. I was this person when I was in elementary. I was this person in China. Like, you are it. You are the music anomaly that we talk about. Now you need to work on the security and that self-worth and knowing that you are Carly Rae Jepsen, babe. You are. And I'm going to put you in my phone as Carly after this.
Fine by me. Fine by me. I love that.
Vibe it.
I feel like
you are.
Yeah.
You have 100,000 people on TikTok. 100,000 people. I know that you're comparing that.
7.2. Sorry.
Great.
Yeah,
you don't even fucking follow me.
Yeah. Okay, here's the thing. I have a hard time finding people on TikTok because when all the followers come in, it's hard to keep track of. But give me your handle.
So many followers, so many fans.
I'm gonna get you back.
But that's my point. You are a big deal. You are Carly. You have made it to Carly. You have to just start speaking in like present sense. You are. I fucking follow you. I listen to your shit. I'm obsessed with you. Like, you have a fucking fan base, and you are, the moment you truly fucking own that, and this goes back to what this podcast is about, All Eyes on Me. We are in such a fucking climate of artists that are constantly comparing themselves and seeing everybody going viral, right? Like, honestly, depression has spiked because of this. Suicide rates have spiked.
Completely. Yeah.
And now people are feeling like they have to remain humble. Like, dude, I literally went into the fucking grocery store the other day and somebody was like, "Are you Divinity?" And I was like, "Oh God,
wow.
No, this is not happening. Shut up." They were like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "You don't know my name. No way." And they were like, "Yes, I follow you." And I was like, "No, you fucking don't." Like, I lost my shit. I was hugging her. I was like, "That's so cool. Thank you." She was like, "Why are you acting like this doesn't happen all the time?" I was like, "It doesn't happen all the time."
It happened to me at Amoeba Records the other day. And I'm like, that was the cool. I'm like, if there's anywhere I wanted this to happen, it was the place where people go to buy music. So
people are like, "No way this
cool.
happens." And you're like, over here like, "No, this doesn't happen."
I go through phases of it happening and not happening and accepting it and kind of like pushing back against it. I think my thing is that like I really don't like feeling like I got something that I didn't earn in a way.
And that's beautiful, babe. And that's a quality that is so much more special about you that does emulate in your music. I just want you to know that. It does. I feel it.
The thing is, at the same time, I'll also be posting like thirsty ass photos because at the same time, it's like, look, I also understand that sometimes you got to play the game a little bit.
Understand the assignment.
Yeah, understand. But it's also kind of like I'll do that and I'll try to be like, I don't know, the next slide will be like, I don't know, something like ugly as hell or something like that. I don't know. I try to kind of like, it would be hard to post like modeling photos that are just like completely unpretentious like that. I'm like, I don't know. It would be that would make me very uncomfortable. So.
My best friend, I have a couple best friends, but my best friend of 23 years, she is the realest bitch. You would love her. You would love her. I've known her since I was 8 years old.
Wow.
Hi, Brianna. I love you. She literally is the one. She like sat me down. I think this was like a year or so ago. She was like, "Divinity, pull your head out of your ass. Stop." Yeah. She's like, I'm done. I'm done with your shit. Like, you are a big deal. Like, stop trying to constantly reach this new thing. Like, every single time that you get something that's major, you act like it's still not enough. You're still not there.
That, I see that across so many
things
where it's, I would have like given like, I don't know. I would have like cut off my pinky to have some of the opportunities I've had over the last year, 3 years ago. Yeah. And now that I'm here, it's like, it's never enough. So I'm just like this happens at every level, I think. And so and this isn't something I do successfully, but I think the trick is to be grateful for where you're at, because it's like, it might not always be this way. And also it might someday get way bigger, but like you're where you're supposed to be. You're where you're, and if you're still going, then you have as much as you can handle. At that moment, I feel like I'm being very 12-steppy about this. But it is so wild, the perspective shift, that like I was looking at people like who were kind of also putting out music in sort of the same scene as I was, being like, God, like how did they get this opportunity? How did they get this many followers, this many streams their first week? And this isn't like shade to them, but like I've lapped a lot of them since then. And I'm not saying it's because I work harder or I'm better than them. It's just for whatever reason, it worked in my favor. And now I'm like pulling twice the numbers they are. But here I am like complaining about the fact that, well, it didn't do as well as this thing I did. And it's like, well, how amazing is it that thing then did that well, that you have something to look forward to? And also, big picture, the audience is always constantly growing. Regardless, even if like the weekly data isn't as good as a couple months ago or something like that, like the overall trajectory is up. As long as you keep working at it, the trajectory continues to go up. So me and a friend of mine who I've gotten really close with, who I've been working on some music with, are like in a voice note relationship, like just hyping each other up and like venting to each other about, cause I feel like we're on a very similar trajectory right now. And so all this is very fresh in my mind, because, he'll have this amazing moment while I'll be kind of like not really catching a break. And then suddenly I'll have like a TikTok moment and his TikTok might not be like pop. So we kind of just go back and forth. And so this is all very relevant to me right now.
I'm going to leave you with this. Mm-hmm. When I first got to LA, I modeled for a few different major brands. But they were like, they were major enough to be important, but not major, right? And then all of a sudden my modeling agent called me and she goes, "You got the call back for Crocs." And I was like, shut the fuck up. No, I didn't.
Work.
I was the face of Crocs for 2 years straight. 2019 and 2020.
I'm going to look that up.
Yeah, look it up.
Crazy.
It was me amongst a bunch of other people. We were all the faces of Crocs. We were all in the stores. Like literally if you walked into the store and there were 6 or 9 pictures blown up on a grid, like right behind the front counter, I was one of those pictures. Like we were the faces of Crocs, and they extended our campaign another year because of the pandemic. So literally for 2 years,
pandemic wasn't all bad.
You could go in any Crocs store.
That was still open with your mask on.
Yeah, with your mask. But you could go into Australia Crocs and see me. And people were literally like sending me pictures from all over the fucking world. Oh my God, Divinity, I'm seeing you in Sweden. I'm seeing you in Italy. Amazing. Let me tell you what I fucking did. And I hope you do this with every major success, no matter how small, no matter how big. I relished. I fucking relished. That was the moment that I started thinking of this concept of no longer being humble and relishing in the shit that you do. Because I called somebody who I used to call a close friend that is no longer in my life, because we had a falling out after this. Yeah. And I let her know, hey, I just landed the biggest campaign of my entire life. And I know that you're visiting me for your birthday, which our birthdays at the time, obviously she's not in my life anymore, but when she was in my life, we used to celebrate her birthdays because they were back to back. I was the 14th and she was the 15th. So we had this plan that I was going to fly her to LA for her birthday. And I was on set for mine, but the day after, which was hers, I was going to take her to Disneyland. As I was leaving set, Crocs team goes, "Okay, we'll see you tomorrow." And I'm like, I'm not on the schedule for tomorrow. They go, "Oh yeah, you are. And you're one of the biggest faces of this campaign. So we will see you tomorrow at 8 a.m. I was like, "Okay, I'll see you then." And as I'm leaving, I'm calling her. I already knew, because this is a friend from back home. She was already getting bitter about, it's funny because she was one of the people that wanted me to be successful and pushed me to move to LA. But then the moment I started rising. She was more and more bitter. It's so real, but she was more and more bitter about the fact that I wasn't able to call her as often. I wasn't able to spend as much time with her when I went home because I was there to work and pay for my rent in LA. Like, it got to this point where I already knew as soon as I was leaving that set, I was like, this is the beginning of the end of our friendship. Yeah. And I remember calling her and telling her, hey, I have good news and bad news. Because as soon as I left set, I actually called the director of the entire campaign and I said, listen, my best friend is visiting me for her birthday tomorrow. I'm supposed to take her to Disneyland. She goes, buy her a spa day, babe. This is the biggest break for you. You have to be here. I said, okay. So I was willing, and at the time I didn't have any money, I was willing to break my fucking bank and put it all on my emergency credit card, get her an $800 spa day at a celebrity spa in Beverly Hills and have a Lyft pick her up at the airport, drop her off at the spa, and then as soon as I was off set that day at 5 p.m., go and pick her up, take her to dinner, and the next day, because she was in town for 3 days, the next day I'd take her to Disneyland.
That seems like the best case. You get everything.
You're getting Disney and a spa day. Okay, so you want to know what happened? I called her and I said, you want the good news or the bad news? Gave her the bad news first. I have to be on set tomorrow. Okay, what's the good news? The good news is blah, blah, blah. I told her about the spa. She lost her shit. She called me a narcissist and that she didn't want to be my friend anymore. Okay. Everything's about me. Hung up the phone. Now, in that moment, I had the opportunity to either really fucking mourn the loss of this friend that had been a close friend of mine for, at that point, I don't know, 4 or 5 years. Mm-hmm. Literally, she took care of me when I got my fucking boobs taken off. Like, this is somebody that I have had so much together with. But I chose to just be like, this is my moment. Mm-hmm. I'm going to protect my peace.
Yes!
And you know what? Anyone else, any other bitch would have been grateful that I was willing to break my fucking bank account to make it up to them. That is wild. This is my biggest fucking break. Would you like to know something? To this day, that campaign is the biggest modeling campaign I've ever had. And I have made peace with maybe never getting as big of a modeling campaign ever again. So what I want you to remember every time that you start to go into those dark headspaces where you want to like pick yourself apart and wonder why you're not going viral, in the moments that that does happen, that you reap these big successes, I want you to fucking relish in it. And I want you to flex and I want you to fucking piss and shit all over LA and be like, look what I just fucking did. And just remember that in that moment, that could be the biggest moment of your life. Don't waste it wondering when your next big moment is coming, because it might not. Yeah. Relish. And now I'm like flexing to this day. I'm like, I was the face of Crocs for 2 years.
Baby, get into it. I want a pair of Crocs. I've never had one.
Yeah, go get it.
I have like the knockoff ones from CVS, and they feel like knockoffs. So
yeah, fuck it.
Yeah, that actually brings up another thing. It's being happy for people is a learned skill, and something I sometimes still struggle with. And I can admit that. But at the end of the day, it's like it comes from this fear, especially in like my scene of people, that like if something big happens for one of them, I tend to be like, this happens a lot with like queer artists too, because we're so niche and the world kind of sees us as like you're the one of the moment. It's like, we feel like, oh, you're taking my spot. But the reality is that there's limitless spots. Maybe sometimes it's kind of like, okay, well, what am I not doing that they are doing? Or what did they do that I didn't do good enough? Yeah. Which is, something you got to reframe, because then I have to think of all these moments where like, oh, I wonder who was bitter when I had this and this thing. And honestly, I kind of love that. Yeah. It's kind of nice, but at the same time, if I'm being honest, like I don't think I've had that many people be like bitter to my face. And I've always said, like, people are always like, if you got something to say about me, say it to my face. I'm like, if you got something to say about me, do not say it to my face. I am very sensitive and I will take it personally. And at the end of the day, we all talk a little shit as long as we don't really mean it. So I'm very just kind of like, I'm really working hard on that day by day. Even like the friend I was just talking about earlier, like he, a couple months ago, this song of his got like this, like Spotify reached out to him and his team, asked for all his like assets. And then a couple weeks later, he was like the face of this huge playlist. First day streams got like 40,000, which is like, my last song got 40,000 streams in a month, which is like, whatever. It's not my best work, but it's fine. And so I really had to like put that to the test, because this is someone who's been like my ride or die this past year. And I was just like, look, this is you. Like I've been like saying, it's like, I want the best for you. It's like, well, okay, do you? And I'm like, honestly, I do. And it was very eye-opening, because like this is like one of the first times I feel like I've been able to like be this happy for someone that's so close to me in my life, where I'm not experiencing this. But then it's also like we have talked about how like we're gonna take each other with each other whenever one of us like blows up, and like we'll be like at each other's side. And so I'm just kind of like, you have nothing to lose by being happy for this person. Nothing you do is gonna get you on that playlist right now. Why are you spiraling about this? You just had this huge blow up like thing happen to you then, like, and he was nothing but happy. So it's the type of thing where like I'm not saying I understand where they were coming from, but I definitely empathize with the like, you know,
I think you and my ex-friend are way more of the majority. I'm one of the 5%. I swear to God, like I own this. I'm one of the 5% of people that has always, I can genuinely say always, has been happy for other people in their winning seasons when I'm in my losing season. I have never.
Good quality.
I have never been envious of people that are rich when I'm poor, or that have fame and I'm a nobody. I've literally just never had that quality. It's a headspace that I do think is very, very, very rare. But I think the reason I was born with that headspace is because I was brought up by two very passionate people that when we had nothing, we still had the art. Yeah. I had very like Robin Williams energy from August Rush around me all the time. Like, you are an artist, you're passionate. Even if we can't eat, we can still do art. Like, it was very like romantic, my upbringing. So this is why I always tell people, please relish in your wins, because everyone's winning seasons and losing seasons are at different intervals and different times. And the moment you start getting really, I don't want to say competitive, but like you start comparing yourself so much, you really are.
I don't want that either.
I don't want that either.
You know.
Yeah, but you know, I feel like this is such a human conversation. Like, humans do this, and I'm so happy that we're touching on this, because it is something that has annihilated friendships in my life. Yeah. And it has actually been the biggest thing between my mom and I, if you want my honesty. Like, jealousy of success, it's such a weird thing, because it's also usually by people that simultaneously are actually happy for you. Like, they actually wanted you to be successful, but then they don't know how to handle it once you are, because it's a mirror to their own placement in society. Like, it's so hard. So I don't know. I don't know how many people are telling you on the daily that you're a big deal, but you're a big fucking deal. Just remember that.
I don't know about on the daily, but it is hard to believe it.
Tell yourself on the daily.
Okay. I can sort of compromise and be like, I am a much bigger deal than I used to be.
No, you're a big fucking deal.
Okay. All right.
I know it's hard because you want to stay humble.
Because I feel like I'm lying.
No, you're not. Stop it, imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Okay.
You're a big deal. Say it.
All right. I'm a big fucking deal.
Say it like you mean it.
One step at a time here. We'll next podcast.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Where can we find you on your social platforms?
If you just type in Zee Machine, Zee Machine, I should pop up. I should be the first one to pop up. I am at Zee Machine on Instagram and Zee Machine Music everywhere else because no one else let me have that handle, that simple handle. But yeah, that's there you go. Any streaming platform. Yeah, I think that's it. I'm on all the new ones. Blue Sky.
Do you have a concert coming up?
This coming weekend, it's Sunday today. Next weekend, I'm going to be in Richmond, Virginia for Pride there. And then I'm going to be in Phoenix the next month for their Pride there. And then November, I think by the time this comes out, I can announce it. I'm playing Silver Lake Lounge with my friend Bentley Robles. He's the one I was talking about. We have a song out together. We kind of are like, kind of a package deal sometimes. You know, when we're both local, we're a package deal. So I've got a few little shows coming up around the country. So
can't wait to be front and center with my fan.
Yeah. I'll announce the details. You should come.
I will come.
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Cool.
I'm your biggest fan.
November 7th.
Okay, great.
Yeah. You got
Marking my calendar.
You got it.
Okay. All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening. I am Divinity, your host. This is All Eyes on Me podcast, and we will see you next time. Bye, guys.